Welcome back to the first crowd control of 2024.
Yay, we made it.
We did make it.
Survived the holidays, some traveling. We've both taken trips. It's been kind of crazy over the last couple weeks.
I'm a little under the weather, but I'm good enough to do a crowd control. And things are getting off to kind of everyone's kind of shifting into crowd control or a crowdfunding season. We've had a few that have launched that we're going to talk about a little bit today. So these have been on crowdfunding for maybe a week or so by the time you're seeing this. And then we're going to talk about some of the ones that are right around the corner, one of which is sitting here on our table right now.
Yeah, it's been I would say, like you said, a slow start. So we definitely have a couple games that we've gotten to cover that we're able to actually talk about because we covered them maybe earlier last year or late last year that just now are launching. So that's exciting. I guess I can start.
Go ahead.
With one of them. It's Carolingi. Now, this is one that I think is kind of flying under the radar a little bit. We played it, it feels like 3 or 4 months ago now.
It was a while ago that we did this, and then I don't know if they pushed their campaign, but they launched their campaign more recently, and we posted the video.
Yeah, so we've been waiting to talk about this, but this is almost like a complete Middle Ages simulator, I guess I should call it. It's very entrenched in historical fact, and you're playing out actual historical conflicts that happened after the death of Charlemagne when France went crazy and everybody was infighting, and you're playing as those infighting factions who are all kind of his descendants trying to maintain power. And they have a pretty a crazy amount of attention to detail, even to the point where if you watch our video, you'll see that there's even a history book that comes with the game.
This felt and in a good way, it felt like a history lesson because it has a lot of that. There's a lot of that, in fact, thematically in some of the games that we're going to be talking about. The next one, though, that we're talking about doesn't have any of that history involved. This is the only one. It is Explorers of Navoria. This one, Ryan and I didn't touch, but Jeremy Howard covered it on our channel. This one is the best way to describe this, because I watched Jeremy's video. It is the most delightful looking, I would say, medium or light medium Euro style gameplay. The art seems somewhat reminiscent of Root. It's not that artist, I don't believe.
It's similar style. It evokes that feel, that playful feeling.
Yeah, the interesting thing that I picked up from his video that this game has going on, you're pulling these tokens out of a bag or potentially from the main board, and there's these nice chunky tokens, and you're going to use those in the first phase of a round to sort of select one of these different card types, and you're going to be collecting these cards. There's some set collection. However, it's not just generic cards that do nothing. Each of those cards that you get from several different colors have different impact on different stages of the game, and then the cards themselves have very specific, effects and powers that are going to play out. Everyone's going to be doing that, and then those tokens are on those cards, and then at the end of the round, it shifts into the other place where you take the other phase where you take those tokens off those cards and place them back on the board and take, again, very specific effects from depending on what token you're taking and using.
Yeah, this is another one that Jeremy's been sitting on for a while, been talking to us about it for a while.
He's been talking it up.
He's been talking it up, so I'm a little upset that he has our copy because I'd love for him to bring it. I'd love to play it. So.
I would like to try that one as well.
And another one that we got to play that the video just finally posted on was Omerta, the 5 families. Again, this is kind of based on history.
For sure it's based on history.
It's definitely got a little bit of a cinematic bend to it a little bit, but
they pride themselves on having researched very, very thoroughly the historic aspects of this, and you can see that all through the rule book and also on the cards themselves. They did a lot of research, but this is a mafia-style area control game set in New York actually not even in a certain era. It kind of covers several different eras, and if you haven't seen our video, the big thing that I think we really focused on, and our big takeaway is, there's a lot of different scenarios that are offered in a scenario book, but those scenarios are really just ways of playing the game depending on the kind of game you want to play and how many players you have at the table. They're not like scenarios as it is that you would play through. It's just like, we have 4 players, here's our options. Some of those have asymmetric goals, some of them don't.
Different asymmetric setups, different families you're playing, different player counts, different time lengths.
Yeah, it's all very unique as it builds in all those scenarios. And then there's I think there's 9 in total, at least as of the time we're recording this. The 9th one is sort of the 5 families scenario, which is sort of what they call the full game, which is a sort of the standard way of playing that if you have, the full complement of players.
Yeah, I'll say we posted this video and we immediately got a comment from somebody saying that they felt like the scenarios were like a kind of a cheap way to like ignore game balance. I don't feel like that is the case at all. I think that the fact that they give you, like, yeah, you want to play the giant epic game long 5-player experience, do it. But if you don't, you can still play that game in an hour by playing some of the shorter scenarios. Personally, I think that's a really good way to look at a game that could be like 5 hours long by saying like, well, don't play the 5-hour long mode. Play the 2-hour long mode.
And actually, all those modes are pretty short. None of them are ridiculously long. And I would say the opposite. I would say that this in and of itself is balancing. It'd be one thing if they said, oh yeah, sure, just play it at any player count.
Sure.
And then it not work at those player counts. They're basically saying, here, make these tweaks, do this. But they're just presenting that in a more flavorful way in terms of like presenting them as scenarios.
Which I like that. So we do want to talk about just briefly a bunch of stuff that we've looking forward to that's coming within the next few months. But before we do, another special guest. We're going to bring back our favorite, Nelson.
Our favorite.
Happy New Year! I'm Nelson, and I am really excited to talk to you today about something that caught my attention on crowdfunding this week, Hunted, Kobashi Tower. Currently on GameFound, Hunted is a true solo game where you must make your way through a massive skyscraper to rescue your wife who has been taken hostage by terrorists. Sounds very familiar to a movie that I may or may not have watched over the holidays. I'm a big fan of solo gaming, so when I see a game that is designed specifically for a true solo experience, my attention is immediately grabbed. Hunted will force you to make tough choices to eliminate terrorists, avoid detection, find useful items, and ultimately rescue your captive wife on the roof, all in under half an hour. This small box push your luck game is definitely something to take a look at if you enjoy action films and solo gaming. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you around. Yippee-ki-yay, mother...
And thanks again, Nelson. I think you're still our favorite after that. I appreciate you taking the time to offer that up. But like Ryan said earlier, we are going to be talking about some of the other ones, just really mentioning some of the things that we've got going up soon. And I keep gesturing over there because we've got a giant literal stack of some of these games that we're going to be covering.
Ramp up. We weren't kidding. It is starting to ramp up. We're already looking ahead at what we've got over the next month, and it's pretty crazy.
'Tis the season.
And again, I think like when it comes to our channel and the games that we want to cover, the games that we want to bring you more information on, we're getting a little picky. I mean, there's so many games coming out that we have the flexibility now to decide. And even with that, there's still so many ones that I'm so excited about covering.
Yeah, we've had the luxury over time of getting a little pickier and more pickier with the games we're covering. So some of the ones you'll be seeing here on the channel, and maybe some of the ones you won't. First off, we've got Storm Raiders, which is right here in front of us.
We got that already set up and ready to go.
We've had this game for just a little bit. We've had the box up behind us, and we see in our comments on almost every video we post, like, oh, is that Storm Raiders behind you?
Yeah.
So we will have some content up very soon on this. We might actually do a playthrough, like MVM Live playthrough, because a lot of people have been asking for gameplay of it. So we'll probably do that. We got our feet wet with it today. Another couple, we're going to have the next two Felds, Nassau and Kathmandu.
Yeah, the next two City Collection games from Queen.
These are the next two in the City Collection. Kathmandu is the next original, all-new Feld,
which is all
as part of that collection.
It's got a lot to hold. Like, the bar was set high with Marrakesh.
Marrakesh was pretty high.
So we'll see.
We have rules, but I've had to Google translate them from German, so they're a little rough. So we're trying to make our way through those games so far. And Nassau, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, I'm sure you will, is a sort of revised version of Rum and Pirates, I believe is the name of the game.
Something like that.
I think it's called Rum and Pirates.
I've never played that one.
But from what we've heard, too, they've made so many changes to that game that it almost feels like an all-new game.
Yeah, and we've got Dante coming up. This looks awesome. This is from the guys that did Chronicles of Druganar, which was a really expansive, cool narrative game. This is set in Dante's Inferno. So just expect, that kind of dark adventure vibe, which is something that I'm really excited about. And another one that's coming out very soon is Meeple Inc., which is a game that I think is really cool because it's about making board games in a board game factory.
Yeah, it looks really cool. It looks adorable. That one's a little further down, I think February,
it comes out
March.
in February. Yeah.
And then last, and you've heard this on the channel before, Galactic Cruise.
Yeah, that's probably the one that I'm at least for the first half or first quarter maybe of 2024.
Well, yeah, you've been looking forward to that
Oh,
forever.
I got to first play that game back at Gen Con. I've talked about it multiple times on the channel. We'll probably talk about it a few more over the next year.
But anyway, what crowdfunding campaigns are you looking forward to? Are there any that we missed that are coming up that you think?
Oh, next week's going to be a big week.
It's going to start getting big. Second half of January, and then when we hit February, it's just going to probably be kind of nonstop for a while.
Absolutely.
And again, you'll hear some updates from us on our own MVM.
Oh yeah, look forward to
Kickstarter
that.
coming sometime in the near
Yeah,
future,
excited.
maybe March, April, but no promises right now.
see.
Anyway, we'll see you next time, and until then, make sure everyone has fun at the table.